All right, there we go. All right, well, everyone, to this Q&A. Again, I want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. Yeah, still under fire here. It's probably going to be for a while. What's going on here in Israel. Spoke about Torah perspective on that on Tuesday, but I want to hit one thing. Want to hit one other aspect, maybe speak about this for a while, depending on what goes on. But there was something interesting, even, I'm guilty of listening to the news also. I have to listen to my own musar, so to speak. I was telling my wife I would listen after things I'd say. I probably would be different, but, kind of difficult, in that sense. But I'll tell you like this. I heard something yesterday where, you got the analysts, giving their spin on, it's going to be, what the thing's going to be, different things. So, it's supposed to be experts and who knows what. So it's very interesting because somebody had said, what's the goal? What's the end goal of this whole thing? It's get rid of Hamas. That's the end goal, right? It's to get rid of every single one of them. Now, if you got rid of every single one of them, okay, you're going to you put in a new regime, right? Essentially, that's what you would do. Put other people in there, okay. Whoever you're going to put in, more moderate, whatever it is. So let's say, for argument's sake, you kill every single person. You kill every single terrorist, right? Let's say, right? Let's say you kill every single terrorist. Very good. But this analyst says if you kill every single terrorist, there's a problem. What's the obvious problem? What would be the obvious problem? You kill everybody. Very good. Meaning all the terrorists. But what about all the people they indoctrinated? What about their kids, families? So you kill them. There's a whole nother generation. There's a whole nother generation of these cockroaches. Yeah, these scumbags, whatever you want to call them. There's a whole nother generation. How do you uproot that? Any by the quote-unquote moderates, Israeli Arabs, kids being indoctrinated every year of their life in school. Right? It's like Israel doesn't have a right to exist. That's how they're brought up. They're brought up in this hatred. I was telling someone earlier, many times you're going to have, Arabs working for Jews, and at some point they end up trying to kill them. They give them livelihood, they help them, this, that. I'm not going to say by everybody, but that's who they are. Anybody who lives there, they know. That's who they are. That's what they represent. But I want to show it from a Torah perspective, right? This secular Jew didn't know what he's talking about from a Torah perspective. I'll tell you what he meant. Right? I'll give him credit. I'll tell you what he meant. He did say something of value. What did he say? He said you can't uproot the whole thing. Why not? Why can't you uproot the whole thing? Get rid of all the terrorists, even if you did. What about all the indoctrination of the families, the kids, the cousins, this, that? How do you uproot that? You have a whole nother generation. Right? So now someone's going to say, so what are you saying? Genocide, you wipe them all out. So I'm going to tell you that's not so far-fetched. Because that's actually brought down in the Torah. What does the Torah say? There's an obligation when we read Parshas Zachor at the end of Parshas Kiteitzei. Right? Let's just quote it. Because I get accused of never quoting anything. What does it say at the end of Parshas Kiteitzei? Right, towards the middle of the book of Deuteronomy. So Parshas Kiteitzei. Now I gotta find it, of course. 1 second. Show you. The end of Parshas Kiteitzei. It says, chapter 25, verse 17. right? Just in case people think I'm blowing smoke here. Yeah, chapter 25, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you were leaving Egypt. That happened. They happened upon you on the way by chance, quote unquote, by chance, because they don't believe in God. They don't believe in anything supernatural. He struck those of you who are hindmost all the weaklings at your rear. Yeah, they never fight fair, just like the Nazis. May their name be blotted out. May they rot wherever they are. Who they prey on? People couldn't defend themselves. Right? Hamas any different? You don't want to say they come from Ishmael? The Muslim, this, that. They any different? Preying on people who couldn't defend themselves. Yeah, he struck those of you who hindmost all the weaklings at your rear. When you were faint, exhausted, he did not fear God. Right? Where does he strike? At a place where someone's tired, they're weak, they can't defend themselves, and they don't fear God. It gets better. And it shall be when Hashem, your God, gives you rest from all your enemies all around. So when you're not fighting all your enemies around, in the land that Hashem, your God, given to you as an inheritance to possess it, you got an obligation to possess it. You shall wipe out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven. You shall not forget. Now, this is a command to wipe out the memory. There was a command, I really quoted Shmuel 15, right? Shmuel 1, chapter 15, where Samuel the prophet gives a command to King Saul to wipe out all of Amalek, men, women, children, everybody. Wipe them out. You don't want anyone around. He had compassion. He left the king around. He left the best of the animals around. The king shacked up with someone who came out of Amalek. Haman, Mr. Haman himself, he came out of Amalek. Why didn't King Saul listen? That's a whole discussion. We're not going to get into here. But what does the Torah say? The Torah says you wipe them all out. Prophet. Right? Samuel the prophet. Everyone agrees it's a prophet. He tells King Saul, wipe them all out. But over here, what does it say? It says, wipe out their memory. Wipe out their memory, you shall not forget. Or let's quote it. Wipe out their memory of Amalek from under the heaven, you shall not forget. So there's a direct command by King Saul to wipe them out physically. There's a direct command here, says the Torah, again, Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17 to verse 19. You wipe them out. You wipe out their memory. Right? Now there's a problem with this verse. Right? What's the problem? The problem is it says wipe out their memory, so you shall not forget. Well, if I wipe them out, how am I going to forget? And if I forget, how does that mean I wipe them out? It seems contradictory. Not only that, but if they still exist, right? We'll ask a little bit different. If they still exist in the world, how do I wipe out their memory? What does that mean to wipe out their memory? So this, one of these so-called experts, I'll give a little bit of credit here, but they didn't have that intention. He says, I'm going to wipe out Hamas. Their cockroaches are still going to exist. Their offspring still exists. Their cousins, relatives, they all exist, even if they're not quote unquote terrorists. They've been indoctrinated. If they've totally been indoctrinated, I'm going to wipe them out. Same thing over here. If Amalek is still around, if we're going to say Amalek is still around, how can I wipe out their memory? Now, what's really the problem? We know who Amalek is. Now, most people would say the Nazis, may they rot wherever they are, be blotted out, their memory be blotted out. Many will say that they were Amalek. And if we would know who Amalek is today, it'd be mitzvah to wipe them out. Direct command. Direct command from God here. You wipe them out, you wipe out the memory. Now you're going to say, all of Amalek is bad? Every single one of them, what, genocide. That's genocide. Someone will say, you can't say that in this case. The world will never let you do it. You'll never get away with it. Massacre everyone. Okay? But they're right. If they've been indoctrinating their kids, then what happens? They're perpetuating, they're giving over this craziness. There's a next generation and a third generation. So you don't wipe out them. You only wipe out the people doing the dirty work, doing all the murdering and all that. So fine, you get rid of them. What do you have left? You have everybody else. Now you say not all of them believe in that. It's brutal dictatorship, this, that. Okay, maybe. I'm not really to go that far, but let's say. So this person, even though it didn't have intention, this is what the Torah says. The Torah says you wipe out every single one of Amalek, you get rid of their memory. Now, what's so bad about Amalek? Let's analyze who Amalek was. The Jewish people are the greatest role of their lives. Came out of Egypt, even though it was only 20% that came out of Egypt. What happened over here? They decimated the world power. And the king, God kept him alive so he could be the king of Pago Pago. Be the king of Guam. Right? They could be a king of Guam. Let him go to Guam and be king. He was the king of the world power at the time. Totally demoted, they sent him to Nineveh. He ended up being the king there. And when Jonah comes in the book of Jonah, what happens? Jonah says God's gonna wipe you out. They all repented. He didn't make the same mistake. But think about it. The Jewish people decimated, destroyed the entire country physically, took all their wealth, totally decimated the country. Everybody knows what happened. Comes along Amalek and says, I'm going to start up with Israel because we hate the Jewish people. What does Amalek represent? They represent the idea there's no God. They represent the idea there's no supernatural. It doesn't exist. Everything is chance happened on them. What does chance happening mean? Exactly what it sounds like. There's no rhyme or reason. Stuff happens. We're not in control. Stuff happens. My bad luck or someone's bad luck. But the Jewish people are on such a roll. Who in their right mind wants to start up with him? Amalek says, we'll do it. So what does Amalek do? What is the parable? Parable is jumping into a boiling hot cauldron. Yeah, a boiling hot pot that's 150 billion degrees. What's going to happen when you do that? You'll die. Very simple. You get burned to death. Second person says, okay, I'm with him. He jumps in, he gets burned to death. Third person, same thing. Fourth person, same thing. But eventually that water is going to cool down. Once that water cools down enough by the 150 or 150,000th person, they're going to be able to jump in and not get burned or not as severely burned. So therefore, they'll bide their time. They'll try this, they'll try that. At some point, the Jewish people are not going to be on such a roll. Bilam, the evil prophet, what happened to him? He couldn't curse the Jewish people, but he got them to sin because he knows God hates immorality. God despises immorality. So what did he do? So the Midianites, even though he hates the Midianites, nonetheless, the Midianites do what? Get them to sin. Right? How many people died there? through immorality. You know how many people died? 24,000. 24,000. One thing that God despises, besides idolatry, and that is immorality. Despises immorality. Right? So that's the way he was able to get the Jewish people to sin. If it comes on Amalek, they don't care. Some will die, but not all of us will die. Some are going to survive. Some are going to, find a way to survive. Yeah, they're going to be off their rockers, off their cotton picking, Ed Kaufman would say. You're going to start up with the people that decimated the world power. Took away their water supply, killed all their animals, all their vegetation, not to mention taking all their wealth, killing the firstborn, decimated the entire population, the entire country. You want to say with a straight face, I'm going to take them on? You got a death wish, right? Okay, take them on. You're going to lose. You're always going to lose over here. No, they'll say there'll be some hope somewhere because they don't believe in the supernatural. That's the whole point. They don't believe in the supernatural. So you're going to say, so the Torah says, I want you to wipe out their memory, physically and spiritually. I don't want one of them around, right? See, vengeful God. I've heard this a million times. The vengeful God. Look what he does. You don't do what he says. He's a big ogre. He's going to wipe people out. Huge portion of the world to come. All these things. Vengeful. That's what the Torah says. God is vengeful. True. It's partially true. God also has a lot of mercy. But without that, so let's see over here. They're going to start up with somebody, with a nation. You don't want to start up with it. You have no interest in starting up with them. None. But there's an idea. There's an idea over here. What do they represent? What does Amalek represent today? We don't know who Amalek is. Sancheiriv came and mixed up all the nations. We don't know. We have no idea who Amalek is today. You can say the Germans were, yeah. They were cruel. They did exactly what Amalek does. But can we really say, can we say 100%? Can't say 100%. We don't know. All the nations have been mixed up. We don't know who they are. Otherwise, it's been mitzvah to kill them. We don't know who they are. But the Torah says, wipe out their memories. They can tell me physically, I get it. Because that's what's said later. The prophet tells King Saul, wipe them out. Everybody. Why King Saul thought he did the right thing, leaving the animals around and the king around. Okay, it's a whole discussion. But the reality is he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So we're still suffering from that today. But what's the philosophical influence here? You know what they brought to the world? There's no such thing as a supernatural. What does that mean? Stuff happens. So what does that mean in the vernacular? It's called atheism. You can tell me there are Bible thumpers out there, other people believe in God, multiple gods, whatever it is. Believe in a higher power, some level of higher power. I mean, totally misguided, just about everybody else. Nonetheless, they believe in some sort of higher power. Yeah? Comes along Amalek and says, no dice. Not at all. No such thing. I'm not afraid of anything. So God says, I want that wiped off the face of the map. I don't want people thinking there's no supernatural. I want you, the Jewish people, to do that. Oh, very good. Now someone's going to say, what's the obvious question? How do we do it? How is it possible to wipe out their memory? You know how you wipe out an atheist memory? By showing there's godliness in the world. By keeping what God says. By being the best Jew, J-I-T, Jew in training, Noah, whatever you want to call yourself. Being the best person you can be. Bringing that shephah. Bringing that spiritual influence to the world. That pushes away a lot of darkness. right? A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. Now, someone had asked me before, now this goes hand in hand, right? What about this party in Israel? That they came and slaughtered all these people. Was it a desecrate? Was this attack because of violation of Shabbos? Right? What's the punishment if there was a Jewish Supreme Court and the person was warned? What's the punishment for desecration of Shabbos? Stoned to death. What does stoned to death mean? So the Gemara says you take a person, third-story building, throw him on his head. Take him from the loins, take him from his side, pick him up, throw him down on his head. Now, three-story building, what's going to happen? You should die. Now, what happens if you don't die? Let's say you're still alive. Yeah, you don't break every bone in your body. You're still alive. You're still there. So then take a big rock and aim for your heart. So you know what they say? If the left one doesn't get you, the right one will. So splat. If you don't get it the first time, you get it the second time. Okay. That's the most severe punishment. Now, we don't have a temple today. Right? We don't have a temple today. So even if that punishment will be given, we don't see it. Right? It's not done. But it's also brought down that it doesn't mean that these four corporal punishments, being stoned to death, having your head cut off, having your mouth open and molten lead poured down your throat, that'll also kill you, have your head chopped off. Those are four corporal punishments, not necessarily in that order. Yeah, these are severe prohibitions. We don't have it today, right? We don't have a temple today. So, so some will say, so what is stoning? What is skila? Worst, most severe, the rabbis tell us, of all punishments, all corporal punishments. Impact. What does impact mean? Person dies head on in a car crash. Person falls off a cliff. That's impact. Or you can tell me someone gets burnt in a fire. Right? That's the second level. That's the next highest one. Streifa, being burnt. That's not molten lead thrown down your throat, but that's fire. Essentially, that's fire. Right? Now, can we say that because this happens, they're liable for the death penalty? Now, a lot of them didn't get stoned. It was an impact. They got shot. That impact? Not necessarily impact. Might be something else. Yeah, others were beheaded, God forbid. I mean, horrific, somewhat burned. I mean, people are sadistic. Does God want people to desecrate Shabbos? No. But there was also a Buddha there, right? There was a picture of a Buddha. There was a whole thing. There's a whole thing. Now, the way we're going to look at it, and we mentioned before, right? I just didn't flush it out as much, but mentioned on Tuesday. We don't know why. We don't know why. This is definitely not a good thing, right? They're desecrating Shabbos, doing all kinds of other things. There's an idol standing there, sitting there, whatever. I think idolatry would be worse. I mean, same punishment. Idolatry and Shabbos desecration, same corporal punishment. The most severe punishment. God detests that. God detests idolatry, detests people that desecrate Shabbos. Homosexuality, same punishment. In the next level of punishment, you get punished for immorality. Yeah. Now, even if someone died in a car accident head on or whatever, right? Impact, however they died, fell off a cliff, who knows what. Or somebody got killed in a fire, let's say. Right? Or someone drowned, right? They suffocated. That's the last of corporal punishment. Suffocating. Right? They would take a rope, put it around your neck, have, I think, 2 horses or whatever, go in each direction, and squeeze your neck to death. Suffocate, essentially. Right? Now, if anyone dies in any one of these ways, is there any prophet today, which there are no prophets today except imbeciles and little children, but is there any prophet today to say that's a direct result? Can't say it's a direct result. Right? What they're doing is bad, no question. No question. You say they brought it upon themselves. We live in a world of Hester b'toch Hester Pani. We're living in a world God's presence is not here. It's hidden within hiddenness. To be able to say this happened because of this and this, we don't know. All these people who were killed, God forbid, in such a horrific way, right? All these people that were killed, how can we say directly it's because of that? Can't. Is the punishment so severe? Yes, it is. Doesn't mean because they went to that, that's why they're liable for death penalty. Not necessarily. Let's say you got a person, on a bus. Get all these people on a bus. Bus skirt, let's say it goes out of control, hits a whole bunch of cars, many people killed. Many people in the bus killed. So divine providence works in an unbelievable way. Divine providence, God says, okay, I have to get all these people together. They're all liable for a death penalty. I'm going to take them out of this world. Right? So how does he get them? How does he get them together? Right? The amazing thing, if you think about it, he gets these people together for whatever it is, and he puts them, and they go through a certain thing, and he takes them that way. Maybe not all of them, some of them, whatever. Plane goes down. Let's say, we'll make it easy. Everybody dies. Right? Chance of you getting in a plane, going on a plane in a crash, a very slim. Very, very slim. The chances, even there in Israel, unless you live very close to that border of Gaza, that a missile's going to hit and you're going to die from it, also very slim. You got more of a chance getting into a car, getting into an accident. Much better chance. God forbid. Does that mean if a siren goes off, I shouldn't be in my sealed room? No. Doesn't mean that. And you can say, well, what happens if, God forbid, person runs to their sealed room and their building gets hot, you get crushed. Building gets hit and you get crushed. Yeah, so that was meant to be. That's divine providence. That was meant to be, right? So if a plane goes down, no survivors, right? That's the old joke. A plane goes down, how many survivors are there? None, because they're not survivors, right? They don't survive, right? No one survives. How many survivors are there? None. Yeah, very easy. Any case, if there are no survivors, what just happened from a Torah perspective? From a Torah perspective, I mean, it's tragic, it's sad, and all that. It's true. But from a Torah perspective, what did God do? God put all these people together that he wanted to erase from the world. For whatever reason, right? Doesn't matter. For whatever reason, all people with different walks of life. Some religious, maybe some non-religious, everyone in between. Jews, non-Jews, kids, adults, women, men, doesn't matter. God orchestrates it so they're all in one place. He knocks them out. Why? It's not for me to answer. Why are they all liable for death penalty? Not for me to answer. I could guess. Maybe they did this, they did that. Maybe did the other thing. I'm not God. Yeah, I didn't play him on TV. But at the end of the day, he's the one calling the shots. So did these people have a death sentence on them? Yes. It's tragic. Where was the IDF? That was what we asked before. We're not going to get an answer for months where this lapse was. But we mentioned God is showing we're not in control, that he's the one in control. I mentioned to someone earlier, a number of years ago, Israeli Arabs, there were Israelis that had a ability to work in Israel, that had a permit to work in Israel. From different places in the country, got on buses, started shooting people, knifing people, different things. Right? People were afraid to get on buses. Some people, had rolling pins. So, an American who lives here makes a video and says, any Arab comes up to me, anyone tries anything with me, I got my Louisville Slugger. Baseball bat, anyone doesn't know. I got my Louisville Slugger. Yeah, when you're being stabbed to death, I don't know if your Louisville slug is going to help you. Yeah, people were terrified to go on buses. Now, over a period of time, yeah, there were people who got injured. Some people got killed. Unfortunately, some people got killed. Terrorists got neutralized and then stopped. Now, I hope no Hamas people or anyone, is listening to this. What would stop them from sending hundreds of thousands of people legally from up north to down south, everywhere in between, and stop them from getting on buses and stabbing, trying to kill people? I'm just saying get on buses. I'm not saying doing anything else. I'm not talking ramming attacks. I'm not talking anything else. What is to stop them? If you tell me they're the stupidest people in the world, they never thought of it, maybe. For the great IDF, as good as they are, is there any way, practically speaking, to stop it? There's no way to stop it. Right? In physical terms, there's no way to stop it. If there's no way to stop it, why did it stop? There are stories about the virus, SARS virus, other viruses, killed all these people, and then it stopped. Why did it stop? Vaccines, this, no. Then it stopped overnight. Why did it stop? All of a sudden, the virus just disappears in the air, and the molecule. Where did it stop? How did it stop having its effects? I don't know. Maybe science has its answer. It got weaker, strains. They'll come up with their answer. But you know what the real answer is? God, get rid of it. Everyone thought Corona's over. Yeah, different strength. Okay, it's much weaker. Definitely much weaker. So it's not going to affect as much. Well, there are people that are really sick. I think Jerusalem is one of the highest populations of people that are sick from it. I don't think dying from it. I mean, not necessarily respirators. I haven't heard that. But, some people really, really sick. It hasn't gone away. No conspiracy theories here. It has not gone away fully. Even some places in the States are talking about going back to wearing masks. Like that helps. Because they prove that doesn't. Without going into all that, why didn't it disappear yet? You're going to say the vaccine, the this, the that. Why is it still here? In some form. Science hasn't figured it out. That's one reason, potentially. Now we call the heretic for saying that because that's not the reason. The reason is because God doesn't want it to stop for whatever reason. And he's not allowing science to figure it out to get rid of it. When he wants to get rid of it, he'll get rid of it. That's the answer. Now, comes along this whole thing, and it's tragic. There's no question. It's tragic. All these people die. I mean, it's horrific. Horrific. So the question is, don't they deserve death penalty for violating Shabbos? Now, let's keep in mind, we don't have a Sanhedrin today. We don't have a Jewish Supreme Court. You didn't warn them, and no one died even, when there was a Jewish Supreme Court. If the Jewish Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin, killed once in 7 years or 70 years, the Mishnah Mako says, it would have been called the bloody court. So no one was really ever killed. So why to talk about the severe punishment? So people shouldn't do it. People should know it's severe. Even if nobody got killed, doesn't matter. So if you want to tell me that we said before, impact could be the worst punishment, can we say definitively this is the reason? Now, someone is immoral, right? When a big AIDS epidemic years ago. Yeah, when someone was immoral, yeah, they didn't protect themselves in different things and they got AIDS and died. I had someone tell me, you cannot tell me that's a direct result. I was like, why not? If you act in a certain way, that is what's going to happen. Or you'd be like Magic Johnson, he got lucky. He's got HIV, never turned into AIDS. He's like a walking time bomb. Pretty amazing. He never got it. Most people had it, they got it. It killed them. Or, it's really crippled them or whatever, in its heyday. Imagine knowing you have that. Right? It's like someone has cancer. It's like you never get rid of it. It like never totally disappears. You're always thinking in the back of your mind it could come back. But this guy's got 9 lives. He was with anything that moved, Magic Johnson, admitted himself. Poor wife, he's on the road, having a great time. Many women as he wants. Yeah, guess what happened? And he got it, but he's still alive. It never was full blown. Pretty amazing. Mind-boggling. Yeah. Why did he deserve to live? I don't know. What's the bottom line here? The bottom line is we don't know. Is it bad for someone that's desecrating Shabbos on the holiest day, on one of the happiest days of the year, rejoicing with the Torah, starting the Torah anew, and they're out doing who knows what with this Buddhist sitting there, standing there, who knows what? Yeah, that's bad. That is bad. Now, am I going to be brazen enough to say that's what caused their demise in that way? No. That might have been the final straw. And God said, I'm not having mercy now. You go to that, fine. But that's not the only thing I guarantee people did. Guarantee. They must have done other things to deserve it. Right? Not very popular to say. It's a divine decree. We don't know why. We don't know why. But we do understand the Rambam says. The Rambam says in the 13 principles, there's reward and punishment. And if I do the right thing, very good. If I do the wrong thing, it's punishment. Could be severe punishments. But it's still horrific. Babies' heads cut off, hands cut off, people put in tires, lit up, burned to death. That's unbelievable punishment. That's an unbelievable decree. You haven't seen stuff like this even, maybe since the Holocaust. I mean, there have been, beheadings and different things, true. Over the years, people being burned to death. I mean, it's nothing necessarily new. This is real graphic. This is real graphic. Now, can I pinpoint and say this is the reason? No, nobody can. Was it a good thing for them to be doing what they were doing? Absolutely not. That's clear. You got idolatry, probably immorality, desecration of Shabbos all in one. All in one. Anyone has seen pictures of these people, no offense, they weren't necessarily dressed the right way. Immorality is something God hates, right? Comes to idolatry. God hates idolatry. Many, many commands against idolatry. So at that point, God obviously knows the future. He knows the past. He knows the present. So you can say, okay, I'm going to let them go to this. I'm going to have all these people there. It's going to be a bloodbath. Sounds like Friday the 13th. Sounds like one of these horror movies. You go to the thing, everyone's partying, everyone's having a great time. And some lunatic comes along and starts slashing people, and killing people. Now, this is a whole different thing. So I'm not going to be bold enough to say that's the reason. Could be 100,000 reasons why. Yeah. But I think the point of all of it is, well, first of all, he wants to wake us up. That's clear. But he also wants to remind us of one major thing. We're not in control. Do not think that the IDF is going to save your life. And they're the ones controlling things. They're not in control. There's a major, major mishap here. Major. Head's going to roll. I don't think there's any question, when the dust finally settles. How can you have that in your country? Where is the army? Where's the air force? Where's anybody? They have any inkling? It's hard to imagine. It's like God turned the brains off for a little bit of time so they could do it. But it's showing us he's in control. So I would agree. Yeah, they desecrated Shabbos, even though they don't know anything about Shabbos. And they had a Buddha standing there or whatever. That is going to bring about God's ire. Is that the reason? I'm not saying it's the reason. It could be part of it. What about all the other things they've done in their life? They didn't keep Shabbos a week before either. They didn't keep it the month before either. Yeah. So they could also tick God off. God doesn't have patience forever. But this is a collective thing. You have all these people there. They're killed in a horrific way. It's a horrific way. There's nothing to talk about. You got to tell me even if they deserved it. It's still horrific. Yeah. But at the same time, he got them all together in one place to get slaughtered. That's the bottom line. Some of them were able to escape. They must have some merit to escape. And even worse, they didn't die. They didn't die through this. And they got taken captive, which is even 10 times worse. Who knows the abuse they're going through there? And even if they make it out alive, and Halavai, they all make it out alive. These guys are ruined for life. For life. They'll be in therapy for life, for what they've seen, for what they witnessed. So in some ways, it'd be better, maybe some of them would say, it'd be better if I die. Why should I stay alive? What would be the merit of being alive after going through that trauma? But to say that's the reason, no one can say it's the reason. I would agree. It's definitely very bad. There's no question. Even if they don't know anything and this and that. It's on Shabbos, there's idolatry there. There's immorality, I'm sure, going on. You get a whole mixture of things. But to say that's the reason, I'm not going to say that's the reason. Did they deserve punishment? Somebody dies in that way. That's a severe punishment. It's a severe decree. Can't say people were innocent. Everyone's going to look at them and say they're innocent. Nobody. When a person dies in that way, there's no innocence. They have it coming for different reasons, whether they did things themselves or that's what their soul has to go through to atone for whatever they did in a previous life. It's harsh to say. I never tell this to, to the parents or, the spouses or whatever. They'll never be able to hear it, obviously, right? You want to console them, not kill them, not destroy them. But think about it. These things are divine decrees. If you believe God runs the world, God's in charge. He takes lives. He gives life. This is the idea of suffering, right? This is the whole idea. Why don't I have to go through it again? It could be to fix up their soul, whatever it had to do here. It could be, and probably most likely in a lot of cases for what they've done. There's reward and punishment. Nobody wants to hear it. You got to take responsibility for your actions. And if something this severe happens, there's a tremendous decree. Tremendous decree. You're up to 1,200 people died. Most of them civilians. That's Amalek. They're killing people that they can't defend themselves. Okay, they've killed soldiers also. But the majority of people are civilians. That's not even the point. The point is look at how it was done. Right? There's no difference in the Holocaust, what the Nazis did. No difference. They care less, torture them. People messed up and killed because of what Mengele did. Well, let's see how much hydrochloric acid we can put in your body and see what it does to you. And I put enough in, make your head explode. Let's see. Oh, look at that. His head exploded. I guess I'm putting too much. Well, what if I put in a little bit less? What does it do? People are sick mothers. That's what they are. They're sick. Why did it happen such a way? Because God was ticked off in different way for whatever reason. Yeah, and he said, and one of the main points is that these were the most humane people in the world. They were the most learned people in the world. America became what they became years later. They were on top of the world, sophisticated in knowledge. And they treated a dog better than a human. Which goes to prove the point, knowledge and high IQs does not make somebody moral. That's what you learn from that. One thing you learn from that is that to see how these intelligent people, these are the ones who joined the Third Reich, first people, doctors, lawyers, accountants. They weren't forced. They joined willingly. Where were their brains thinking a dog is more important to treat better than a human? These people were subhuman. Yeah, the crazy thing is, Hitler's a great speaker, this and that. They were convinced themselves. They put a gun to their head. They were convinced this is the right way, intelligent-wise. Not based on they were skinheads and this and that and neo-Nazis. These were intelligentsia. These are the mover and shakers of that generation, doctors, lawyers. So that's not the question, where was God? Man was sick, and God made a point to show as intelligent as you are, it doesn't make you moral. That's what it shows. So you're gonna tell me these people don't have intelligence, they're barbarians, right? They're absolute barbarians, right? God's making a point here. God's making a point here, and he's saying, don't rely on man. Don't think man's going to take you out here. That's not the answer. I'm the one in charge. I call the shots. You don't have my divine protection is what happens. You don't run the world. I run the world. That's pretty horrific to see. We'll bounce back. We'll get a lot of them, this, that. We'll get down to business. God will have mercy, hopefully. And this is major dent in the armor. Major. Yeah. Someone here asks, what if a person's mixed race? German, French, Italian, okay. Mixed race, yeah. Yeah. And they were born in America. That person considered Amalek. We don't know who Amalek is, doesn't matter. No matter if they're mixed race or not. It has no difference who they are. The point is that Amalek today, we have no idea. We know what their character traits are. But because all the nations have been dispersed and been mixed up, we cannot say this person is 100% Amalek. We can think it's probably true, right? Look what they've done and this and that. Just because the person's a hybrid of different cultures, that doesn't mean anything. You have to tell me they're a hybrid of every single culture that got mixed in and whatever, but even that wouldn't say they're Amalek, right? That wouldn't matter, right? That wouldn't matter. Somebody here asks, okay, totally different topic. So again, I'm not willing to say, I mean, maybe other people will, but, I'm not willing to say the desecration of Shabbos and all the other things going on there, that was a death sentence. Maybe it was. Maybe. I think there are other things going on. I definitely think there are probably other things going on that they deserve this horrific decree. Had to be other things going on. It couldn't be a one-shot deal. Unless they were on such a high level, God's going to say, okay, for this minor thing, I'm going to knock you out in a severe way, right? Like a righteous person does one minor thing wrong, could be a severe punishment. We're not talking about that, these type of people. That's not what we're talking about. So there's something else going on. But this was the final straw. And this is where God brought them in. Yeah, come on. We're going to have this great festival. And, we got all these people there. It's going to be great. It's going to be on Shabbos, whatever. It's going to be a great thing. Death trap. Right? Whatever. Evil inclination got them. Whatever it was, God got them to this place. And in that place, this horrific thing happened. Yeah, that's what he wanted. I mean, it's not what he wanted, but that's what he did. Now, is that the only reason? I find it Sorry about that. Oops. Yeah. Let me see. I should be back here. Yeah. Sorry about that. So what? So Sharon, Rabbi said he's in this. What do you call it? He's in this coma. Going out from Gush Kativ. Going out from Gush Kativ is probably not the worst sin. Right? Probably not the worst sin. Yeah. So my Rebbe said on that, he probably did other things. Right? He probably did other things. Probably did other things wrong. So we don't know. We don't know, bottom line. It's, what we see, we don't understand. We live in an upside down world. But what do we see, though? We see at the end of the day, this is a divine decree, a horrific divine decree. That a lot of people had to die in a horrific way. And I still think that the answer is God is showing I'm in control. You're not in control, I'm in control. Somebody asked, are all atheists Amalek? Yeah, anyone who, Amalek does not believe in the supernatural. Can I assume, good question, can I assume anyone who's an atheist is Amalek? Not necessarily. Right? Why would I say not necessarily? I would say not necessarily, very simply, because, to really be an atheist, a full-blown atheist, there are ways I don't want to go into, but, there are very easy ways to show a person's really not an atheist. Right? And it's not like they've really thought about it and analyzed and, and all that. So someone who's an atheist, could they be Amalek? Could be. They could also be a fool. Or they could be Amalek at the same time. What do I mean by being a fool? Imagine someone says, I'm not agnostic. An agnostic, has a doubt whether God exists. An atheist knows, quote unquote, that God does not exist. So imagine say, well, it's very interesting. Have you ever studied philosophy? Aristotle, Socrates, no. Have you ever studied, later philosophers, Kant, Kierkegaard, no. Have you ever, Abdul, make a big distinction, have you ever studied Jewish philosophy, the Rambam, Maimonides, Yehuda Levi, right? No. Okay, have you ever studied the Torah? Like, no, but I saw the movie. So now, person, bona fide atheist, they're pretty convinced. They're an atheist, but they never studied, they never learned, they never did anything. So you're not an atheist, you're an idiot, right? So a lot of atheists out there claim to be atheists. Have they ever studied anything? No. Have they ever studied, this world? You want to say this world came about by accident? There are a lot of questions you could ask that don't have good answers or have any answer. Say someone's an atheist? Okay, so you have to tell me, you've looked into things, you've researched, you're convinced. Someone says, I don't believe in such a place called Italy. Very good. Have you ever studied, I don't know, Encyclopedia Britannica on the subject? I don't even know it still exists, probably online somewhere. You're like, no, I just know there's not such a place. You're going to take someone that serious? Never. They've never researched it. They're not interested. There ain't such a place. I think that. So whatever, you can think whatever you want. If you've never done the research, you've never studied, how do you know what it is? So plenty of atheists out there, they're just stupid. They're morons. They never studied. They don't know anything. So how can you be an atheist if you never studied? How can have you ever done the research? No. I've never learned anything, never learned Tanakh, nothing, no philosophy, non-Jewish philosophy, Jewish philosophy, So you're an idiot. That's what you are. You're an idiot. You never studied anything. How's that possible? I have this conclusion. I can make such a conclusion. Of course I'm an atheist. I just thought about it for a few seconds. Yeah, there's no God. And I'm convinced of it. That's not atheism. That means you never researched the topic. They may never research the topic. It's very good. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. Yeah, I could probably prove that not to be true. I don't care. I'm not interested. Yeah. So you got people like that, but they're not really atheists. I wouldn't call them real atheists. That's the idea. That's the idea. People think a good game. They say things, but I don't necessarily take people so seriously. They haven't done their research. They haven't done their homework. They've done their homework. They got good questions. Okay. We'll have a discussion. But if you never studied anything, how do you know what's true, what's not true? Morality changes. Everything is relative. So we believe Judaism is true. That means everything else is false. How do you know that? Oh, there's proof. You want to hear the proof? No. There's a lot of proof. There are people just throw things out. They don't care. They just want to do what they want to do. That's the bottom line. Don't talk about religion. Don't tell me this. Don't tell me that. Doesn't matter. I want to be able to do what I want to do, and you can't say otherwise. Okay? If a person's not willing to look at information, what can you do? They don't want to look. They want to keep their head stuck in the mud. That's what they want. Can we change that? We can't change it. Maybe we can. I don't know. Right? But in general, if someone doesn't want to drink, you can't bring the horse to the trough to drink. Can't bring him to drink. All we can do is give them information, whatever they do with the information. And if someone doesn't want to listen, okay, their choice. 100% their choice. But if you're going to make an argument, or you're going to make a statement, and you're going to say, I'm this or I'm that, then back up your statement. Well, that, like someone in the States told me, that's what my heart tells me. I said, okay, you have a source? Medrash, Gemara, early commentators, later commentators, anybody who said, no, that's what my heart says, goes totally against what the Torah says. So you're arguing. So you're arguing in different planes. You're totally, the Torah says one thing. I don't think that's good. Because that's what my heart says. No, that's what your agenda says. And you need to understand what the Torah says. You have to understand I don't care. Any God who says that, it's not my God. Okay? Right? So explain to them that there's a mitzvah to wipe out Amalek if we knew who they were. Genocide. Pure genocide. Every single one of them, men, women, children, wipe them all out. They're going to say, fine, the ones that are giving you problems, you wipe out. The other ones are innocent. No. God says they're not innocent. Right? That's the whole thing we started with. They're perpetuating this garbage. They're passing it down to the next generation. So you can't wipe it out. Right? Same thing with Hamas. They have kids, grandkids, who knows what. They're perpetuating the same garbage. So even if you kill all the terrorists, you're still left with people perpetuating it. You're not uprooting it from the core. That's the whole point. That's what this political analyst said. Mind-boggling. I thought about it last night. Mind-boggling thing. He didn't know what he was saying even. What he's saying is very true, according to the Torah. The idea doesn't disappear. The idea is still there. We just said in the book of Deuteronomy, wipe out Amalek, and everything Amalek stands for, got to wipe it off the face of the map, physically and spiritually. But what did they bring to the world? They brought to the world, we don't believe in God. They brought to the world atheism. That's what they brought. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what they brought to the world. Now, if that's true, we got to be the best we can be to show there is a God. To bring God down to this world, that's our obligation. That's the Jew's obligation. So even if you wipe them out, you wipe out every single terrorist, yeah? Their ideas and their jihad is still passed down to everyone else. You haven't gotten rid of it, right? So now, again, maybe I'll get censored for saying this, right? Probably said worse things, right? And that is, how do you stop it? How do you stop this idea, this bad idea? There's one way to stop it. There's one way, I shouldn't laugh. There's one way to stop it, and that is pure genocide. You wipe everybody out, just like the Torah says by Amalek. You wipe out that whole idea. You wipe them all out. Get rid of the idea. That's the only way. Otherwise, that idea still exists. So we have an obligation to wipe out this idea. And we say every year before on the Shabbos before Purim, we say there's a mitzvah to wipe out Amalek. We don't know what Amalek is. You got to wipe out what they stood for. You got to wipe out their ideas, i.e. that there's no supernatural. We got to bring God into this world through mitzvahs, through chesed. And unbelievable acts of chesed going on all over the world. All over the world. Bringing food to soldiers, equipment. You got Floyd, Mayweather. He's got the personal plane bringing stuff here, of all people. You got a lot of people in solidarity doing unbelievable acts of loving kindness. I would tell you, it would be better if they didn't have to go through this and do it. Would have been a lot better. Do acts of loving kindness without people having to die first and be massacred. But God had to make a point. He had to make a point. And again, I still think the point is that he's showing he's in charge. You can't rely on men. You cannot rely on the IDF. They're here to protect us. True. Very, very true. For the most part, they do a heck of a job. No question. A lot of respect for what they do. But they're not in control. There's so many screw-ups over the years. So many screw-ups. Even if they're the mightiest power in the Middle East. Very good. Yeah. But God's showing, if I want to take control, I'll take control. That has nothing to do with man. And it could be a heck of a lot worse. And the silver lining, as we said before, this could be the beginning of the end. This could be the coming of the Messiah. Could be. Could very well be. Yeah, America gets involved. Asaph gets involved. I mentioned this on Tuesday. They get involved to go against the Jewish people, right? What the Malbim says in Zechariah chapter 14. Yeah, could very well be. Could not be. Who knows? We don't know. So I agree. It's a horrific thing. These people, they are desecrating Shabbos and doing these other things. They had a death sentence. Before that, let's make that clear. God was going to nail them anyway. This was just how he's going to do it. They were already liable. All the people there were liable. It's amazing stories. You had a lot of people that after 3 days, they were in hiding. They were in absolute hiding. I don't know how they survived. I don't know. But, there were some people who actually survived. Survived this whole thing. This whole nightmare. So that's a good question. A lot of them got killed in a horrific way. Some were taken captive and then killed or whatever. And you got others that survived. Like, obviously, they would ask the question. You'd have to ask the question. That's what, some people in the Holocaust did. They said, okay, all these people got slaughtered left and right. Why did I survive? Why in the world would God leave me alive? Why did I survive? And what's the answer? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. What makes you think? It makes you think. Right? Rabbis were killed and murdered and butchered, and these people, righteous people, even someone who wasn't religious at the time. And they saw all these horror. Why did they survive and not these other people? What's the answer? We don't know. We don't know. It's a divine decree. It's a horrific divine decree. Yeah. Someone here says, somebody calls America Amalek. Listen, America, for the most part, is a secular place. Even though there are Bible thumpers there, whatever. Right? There are a lot of atheists there, but I pointed out before, you came late, but I pointed out before, these atheists don't know anything. It's like they thought for a split second, yeah, I'm an atheist and I'm convinced of it. They don't know anything. Never studied philosophy, never studied, Jewish philosophy, non-Jewish philosophy, never studied anything. They didn't even read the Bible from cover to cover. They saw the movie though. So what? They're not atheists, they're idiots. They never researched it. So I'm not saying everyone who's an atheist is necessarily Amalek. That's what they brought to the world. That's the idea they brought to the world. If you want to tell me some people actually looked into it and thought about it and researched, okay, we'll have a discussion. That's not most people. Most people just want to do what they want to do. That's it. They want to be left alone. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do ever. I'll do what I want to do. It's a very atheist place. It's true. So our job, for the best of our ability, is what? To bring God to this world. Jews do that by keeping Shabbos, by making blessings, right? By doing chesed, by trying to be a light to the nations. Non-Jews that keep the Noahide laws, same thing. They can also bring godliness to the world. Not the same as Jews, but they can also bring godliness to the world. There's no question. But the problem is, by Jews, there's collective punishments. These people, okay, it's a divine decree. But the reality is we ourselves have to be better. We ourselves have to realize not just the IDF and they're protecting us. They are, that's true. But without divine protection, IDF can't do anything. Can't do anything. I think it's their might and power. They stopped all these, stabbings on buses. The IDF's going to send thousands of people from any direction, make havoc in this country. Make havoc. Where people are afraid to go on buses. And all of a sudden, overnight, it stopped. We're on for 2 weeks, a month, whatever it was. People were afraid to go on buses. It stopped. Why did it stop? Why in the world did it stop? You know what Kaufman's answer is? Now the rabbis are going to say the same thing because God stopped it. It's not about the idea. It's not about infiltrating, and having some of their best men in Arab cities and they're patrolling, they're doing, okay, you got to put your best foot forward. That's not the reason. Things don't disappear for no reason overnight. It doesn't happen. Usually it doesn't happen. So you have to ask yourself, what happened here? Why does, SARS virus, why just disappear? Without a vaccine, right? Why did it disappear? Because God wanted it to disappear. Oh, you say the atmosphere changed and this and that. People come up with all kinds of great answers. But what's the bottom line? God's in charge. That's what this is all showing. And it's for us to take the message, we're not in control. And we got to work very, very hard on our faith and belief in God, because this is a hard one. This is a hard one. You're going to tell me this is punishment, this and that. So what? These images are horrific. Horrific. Probably should never watch, not watch too much of it. It's horrific. These things stay with you forever. So we have to be better. We have to change our mentality. And our mentality has to be God's the one in charge. That is the mantra. God 100% is in charge, no matter what I do. Right? So should I be stupid if there's a siren goes off in my neighborhood to stand outside and say, where is it? Let's see. Let's see where it falls, or I run into my sealed room. You run into your sealed room. But you're going to tell me the odds are about 1,000,000,000 to 1 you get killed by a direct hit. True? Very, very true. They're all much greater getting hurt in a car accident here. No question. Anyone's been in Israel to see how people drive, it's not a question. It's sad, but it's not a question. The odds are very slim, but you can't be stupid either. You gotta, just telling someone earlier, do whatever I can, to be safe. Is there any guarantee? This is what I said. To a secular Jew, I said, is there any guarantee in life? No, except death and taxes. That's a guarantee. Is there any other guarantee in life? There's no guarantee. King Solomon says in Proverbs, the wisest of all men. What does King Solomon say? You don't know what today's going to bring. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I told the story. A friend of mine was in the States, and his brother, 56 years old, did not wake up. Wasn't diabetes, wasn't this. He did not wake up the next day. What happened? He died. No explanation. Right? Mises Nishika. He died with God kissed him, took out his soul. That's how he died. Didn't wake up. That person think when he went to sleep, he wasn't going to wake up. Oh, I don't think he thought that. Wasn't sick, just didn't wake up. It's not like he felt bad. This happened and it slept, and then a few days later he died. No, he did not wake up. Is there a guarantee we're going to wake up tomorrow? No. God takes your soul in the middle of the night, you die. Right? No guarantee. So there's nothing left, it's guaranteed. We don't know what today's going to bring. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So we have to live our lives the best we can every single day. Take stock of what we do before we go to sleep. What did I do? What did I accomplish? What I didn't accomplish? In the generation of the Messiah, we're living in the Messianic era. This is the test. The test is Emunah. Test is our belief and faith in God, and we got to hold on to God for dear life, because you know what? We got nothing else. We got nothing else. It's not the Americans, it's not the French, it's not anybody. It's not anybody. When 6 million Jews died, God made sure a lot of people took care of business. Yeah, you had the Germans, you had the Slovakians, right? You had the Russians, you had the Ukraine, you had everybody, you had the Poles, I don't want to forget the Poles. You had all these people. Don't where was God? God had a lot of help over here, a lot of messengers. Where was mankind? Where was their conscience? So you telling me America to turn back some boats? Yeah, because they don't want to get involved in the war. And these people got, imagine, they got out, they got on a boat, they finally got to a free place, they sent them back to die. They're going to say, of course. America didn't want to get involved. Comes the bombing of Pearl Harbor, America's got no choice. But God made it where even the rabbis didn't know what to do. They didn't think it was going to be this bad. And then when they finally realized that they got sealed, all the borders got sealed. No one knew what hit them. And by the time they knew what hit them, it was already way too late. Way too late. So that's a horrific divine decree. Horrific. And God also made a point. You know what the point was? As humanitarian and as great as these people were in their minds, they were the most horrific people morally. That's who they were. That's who they were. Yeah, somebody asked, 1 second here. Let me see. Someone asked, somebody asks, why did David mean when he said, going to throne of destruction be associated with those who fashion evil in a statue? Oh, good question. Right. In other words, he's saying, well, God created evil, right? People commit, even though the Christians changed Isaiah 45, verse 7, God created evil. Doesn't mean he's evil, right? The Ramchal says clear. God gave people free choice. He put evil out there. Can people act on it? Yes. Can people be horrific people? Yes. Does he want it? No. They're going to pay for a price, but we wouldn't have free will otherwise. The question is, throne destruction being associated with you? Who else is going to be associated with? It's like, is God evil? No. People look at this and they could ask the question, well, where was God? How could God allow these people to die? Now, if you come from a Torah perspective, we answered that. These people had a death sentence on them, and this is how it happened. And it's not just because they were at this party and whatever. That was just the end result. And there's a Buddha there and all these other things going on, especially on Shabbos. But God is the power of destruction when he has to be. Look at next week's parsha. He's got the flood. God going to wipe out the entire world. Right? So that's, is it really that the power comes from him and he's really destroying? Yeah, it is. Like a rhetorical question. So like, could it be? Where else is it coming from? If you're a Christian, very good, Mr. S. You got to get blamed for everything. Yeah, very good. Right? So that's the problem. If God is all good, how is he allowed to do it? Punishments. He's severely hitting people. Why? I consider my spin for the next 3 hours. Could be because of this, because of that, because of other things. Could be because of any number of reasons. We don't know. But I guarantee it's one main thing. And that's going against what he says, and in such a way that God says, I want to show you I'm still in charge. Because this what happened here is it should be totally against nature. Right? You want to tell me there are attacks here, sirens here, this, that. Okay. Nothing to this extent. Never been anything to this extent. Yeah, people have died, buses have been blown up, different. Okay. It's always happened. Always happened. This is what we live with. To this extent, nobody in their right mind would think. Nobody would think to this extent. So what's the question? Where's the divine protection? Right? God's going to say you rely too much on man. That's your problem. You think they're God's gift to the world and they can do anything. Well, you know what? I'm going to show you such a screw up. And that's what it is. And heads are going to roll, I guarantee. Right? This is prophecy 101 coming from Kaufman here. There, I guarantee, right? I should say bleed without a vowel. I guarantee there are going to be a lot of heads that are going to roll after the dust settles. A lot of people losing jobs. Will never be involved in the military again. This is something cannot happen. This is something cannot happen. You don't have this big a screw up. I mean, that's insane. Insane. It's not just a screw up, though. Look at the end result. Thousands of terrorists, butchers. Yeah. Kill little children. I mean, I won't go through the list. God says, you think they're in control? You think this mighty army is in control? Okay. We'll even things, hopefully we'll take care of business and everything will quote unquote go back to normal. But God is showing you with his might and power, they're not in control. And they missed something really severe here. Really severe. I just heard something earlier, potentially what it might have been. By the time they finally realized and the helicopters know where to go and this and that and whatever, there's somebody really, really seriously messed up here. That's the question everyone's asking. No one's going to get any answers till after the dust settles. Okay? Right? That's the party line. That's what they're not going to give answers now. What happened? Right? They want to secure the borders. They want to get the hostages back. This will all come out later. It's going to be a great story. It's going to be some heck of a story. But I guarantee you heads are going to roll. Heads are going to roll. You can't have such a big screw up like this. Not to this extent. A few people are, okay, there's that. To this extent, and the butchery that went on, that, and not only that, you get the hostages. Who knows what's happening to them? God should have mercy on all of us. On all of us. No question. Right? So I agree. You cannot trust the Americans. I wouldn't trust any of them. You're right. You're right. It's just going to be very interesting because they're going to come here to push off Iran. And who knows? Who knows what it's going to be? The first sign anyone being killed on their end, yeah, they'll probably flee. They got their own agenda. I agree. I definitely agree. I'm talking about the bigger scheme of things. In this final war of Gog and Magog, this in theory, this could be set up this way. Because you got Esav, America's Esav, France, Britain, all these people, all these places, they're Esav. Right? And this is exactly what the Malbim says, Esav against Yishmael. And then why are we fighting against Yishmael? It's gonna be a major bloodbath. You're gonna have all these Americans and Brits and all these people are gonna start dying and being killed and all this, right? God forbid, right? And who are they gonna blame? Are they gonna blame Iran? Are they gonna blame Hamas? Not gonna blame them. In the end, who are they gonna blame? The Jews. They're gonna say, why? What are we even doing here? They're gonna blame us, and that's when the Messiah is gonna come. That's gonna be the beginning of them. Now, mentioned on Tuesday. Is that a realistic scenario that could happen? Yes, it's a realistic scenario. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I do not know. Can't answer. I'll tell you one thing. Still got to be careful here and all that. I got a front row seat, so to speak. It'll be very, very interesting. To see what happens. People talk a good game. They're thousands of miles away. When you're living, you're going through it. That's what one of the things that the Israeli government is doing. They want people to tell their experience, what it's like when sirens go off and this and that. For their own diplomacy. Because when civilians start dying, what's going to happen when Hamas, when people in Gaza start dying from Israeli strikes and they're trying not to hit civilians, they want all these testimonies to show, look what we're living under. They're using human shields. What do you want from us? We're doing the best we can, but, can't save everybody. We've warned them. We told them to leave, this, that. That's it. But these are military things. Because, someone said yesterday, one of the military spokesmen said, they're going to say this is a civilian building. No, it's not. they are shooting missiles from it. That makes it a military institution. But the women and children there, it's not our problem. It's not really our problem. We want to be humane. What can you do? They're using women and children. They're using women and children. But I mentioned in the beginning what this expert, military expert, whatever, didn't even realize the power of what he said. He said, you cut off all the terrorists. What about all their kids? You don't cut off what they represent. That's the point. You don't cut that off. What's the only way you cut that off? And again, not popular to say. The only way you cut that off is genocide. That's it. You kill every single one of them, right? Who's going to advocate that? Anyone going to advocate that? I don't think so. But that's, you kill the messenger with the message. Kids, women, doesn't matter. They're the messengers. They're the messengers that are going to give over this message further. So killing all the terrorists doesn't help. It's a very good point. Heard this last night. I was like, wow, this guy's a genius. This guy's an absolute genius. Exactly what the Torah says. Amalek. Wipe them all out, because you have to wipe out the image. You have to wipe out what they represent. Yeah, what do you do here in America? Pray. Pray. People are donating for stuff to be sent to soldiers. That's also a good thing. Right? Helping out that way. I would tell you, best things you can do is learn. Dedicate your learning to, say, protecting the soldiers, protecting the people of Israel, and invoke God's mercy. And not only that, learn more Torah. That's the best protection. If you learn an hour a day, learn an hour and 5 minutes a day, an hour and 10 minutes a day. Yeah. That's the best protection. That's definitely the best protection. Yeah, it's a good thing. Listening to the news, you get carried away, and then, again, the problem is the soul, when it sees something, it keeps the picture in your mentality. Even if you don't remember it for a long time, doesn't matter, it's still there. Right? But we're seeing this live. We're seeing this live. It's horrific. It's just, and people who are news junkies and want to, get the latest update and this and that. It's better, as the great rabbi said, you want to look at the news, look at it once a day, maybe twice a day. Don't get caught up in it, because if you get caught up in it, it's extremely depressing, no question. No matter how many terrorists you're killing and this and that, still the whole thing. I mean, people are just in shock, total shock. The whole thing. But my Rebbe said, still when it came to Simchas Torah and all these students, in the yeshiva, they knew parents could have been gassed and killed and this and that. Ramosh Schneider said, you can take our, it should be named, should be brought up, may rot wherever he is. He can take our bodies, can't take our souls. And they dance like no tomorrow. It's a hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do. So I'll tell you, I had inside information on Shabbos. It wasn't easy to forget about this information. And still go through and not say anything, and still, not allowed to be sad on Shabbos. It's whatever. It's a big blow. I would have been better off learning about it afterwards, but what happened? Yeah. Any other questions? The Psalms that we say Psalm 121, I think, and Psalm 130, those are good to say. Those are good to say in time of distress. But yeah, saying Psalms protects 100%. Right? Giving charity, that also protects. Yeah. So that there are people that have taken on, let's say, people who learn full time, dedicating their learning to protecting specific people. Not in general, like they have, this soldier, someone's got this soldier, someone's got someone else, and, protecting them through their learning. It's also a huge thing. Yeah, we need a lot of compassion, It's going to be this thing's going to be going on for a while, right? There's not going to be any easy solutions. God have mercy on all of us, for sure. Someone said they fought a bunch of American Christians. It couldn't help. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do per se. someone there mentions, so the president, all you can do is silent prayer. I don't want to get into it because I'm going to end now. But the idea is prayer does so many things you don't even know. You don't even know the power of prayer. That's not a small thing. Don't look at, it's insignificant. Prayer is power. Prayer is real power. It comes from the depth of the heart. And a person even cries in the middle of prayer. You know what that does in the heavens? It's huge. That should not be minimized. Definitely should not be minimized. It's got real power. Now, does it mean, it's going to save this situation, that situation? We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. It never goes to waste. If it's not here, it'll be somewhere else. It'll stab off some other thing. Right? But prayer is is tremendously powerful too. Tremendous. Yeah, it shouldn't be underestimated. In any case, I got to stop here. Just every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion and Judaism, Beyond Orthodox Conversion and Judaism on YouTube, or you can send me Rabbi Chaim Kaufman at gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN at gmail.com. Wishing everyone a good beginning of the day, middle of the day, or almost the end of the day. And everyone have a great